From a retail standpoint, we often don't have time to get really creative because it's all about time and efficiency when it comes to our shops. But I think for the artist in us, it's really fun to do some projects that give us that ability to be creative and just have some fun with some different things. So I want to do a wire sculpture today that is a little bit labor intensive, but it's really fun in the outcome, and I wanted to share that with you. I'm going to start, and this is just a smaller version because I want to do it a little bit longer, actually quite a bit longer, but I start with African reed, and African reed is just a dried product. It's a nice firm reed. I like the variegation in this, but you could use many different materials with this. You could use mullet, it could be stems off of dried materials that you could use to create this, and I attached them all together with duct tape. That's how we start the whole process to get it all together. And I want to continue that process because I want to be able to manipulate this frame once I get it done. So I'm going to lay a piece of flat wire right down the center, and you could use anything that you want just to give us some stability. Here I have some duct tape, and it's cheetah, so it's decorative, and we're able, if I can get it off of there. Sometimes it's difficult, but you want it nice and clean and nice and straight, and of course duct tape has a tendency to do what it wants. But I'm going to lay the duct tape down on top of it. So I have 2 layers of duct tape that's going to hold this all together. And so you can see that it's underneath the metallic, it's over top of the metallic, but I'm able then to bend this and manipulate this to be the way that I want it to be. So I'm able then to manipulate that. So again, just creating that, so we have our wire framework. Then I'm going to take a piece of rustic wire. You see I've already started this. We're going to create a spine, and I'm doing this with metallic wire, 2 pieces of metallic wire. So what I do with the metallic wire is that I just cut a piece of cardboard the length that I want these pieces to be, and I wrap it around as many times, as many pieces as you want, and then I end up just cutting those to the length that I want. I'm not exact when it comes to this, so because you want a little bit of various lengths to this. Nice piece of cardboard. And then you start with 2 pieces and you just start building this spine. So the rustic wire then becomes our framework. I use a needle nose plier just to twist those on nice and tight so they're not going to move. The smoothness of the roughness of the rustic wire that keeps everything in place, and it also gives me texture when we're starting to create this. So you can see that we're start creating this. And then once we have this all the way down the full length that you want, we're going to take this spine and we're going to glue it with a hot glue gun down that spine. All I have to do is just do a ribbon of hot glue down that spine and just attach this. This is the easiest way that I found to do this. You could try wiring it, doing many different things, but to me this is the fastest way. It's just as effective, and I'm able to do it quickly. And just gluing that on. So once you get that stuck on there, it's just take a little bit for it to get hard, you can see what we're creating is this little spine. Let me show you the larger version of what we've done, and I really think that this is really kind of fun. So we'll take this larger version. You can see I've got duct tape on both sides of that back, and it creates this, and it might be kind of hard to see, but you can see that spine that it creates. And this is a design trend of a technique that's being used a lot, is just having wire, and it creates this temporary design that I think is just really kind of fun. So once you have that spine all the way created, then it's time to add the different materials that you want to add to it. So what I have in different materials that I want to use is that I have paper. So I've got some textured paper. This looks like pieces of bark. I've got another paper that has a little bit of sheen to it, a little bit of a gold gloss onto that. I have some permanent botanicals. These are styrofoam beads or berries. And they're hypericum berries that I'm going to put on there. And then we'll add some fresh. But all we do with this is to take a berry, a little bit of hot glue, and to me this is fastest because the hot glue dries a lot faster, and you just start inserting them on the places that you want. Right? There's random, it's sporadic, and you just start gluing those on to your spine and continue all the way up. To add the paper, all I do is put a little bit of glue and just attach it to the piece of wire. You can put it back to back if you wanted to, but it's just as effective just to start adding that material on there. And just by continuing that on, once you get that all on there, all the way up, oops, lost my glue. And you want to be careful with your hot glue too, because sometimes it'll burn you. But you could use Oasis adhesive also. I like to use that basically with fresh flowers, just so that I give them a nice good security. But hot glue works for lighter products like the Hypericum berries. And you're just going to continue this. Now I have to admit, this is going to take you a while, but it's really kind of fun to see what you can do with that. Now once you get that all completed all the way up, I want to add fresh flowers to this, and you can do many different things. Orchids hold up really well if you want to do that with Oasis adhesive. It's easy to do that with. But I have a new product. I won't say it's a new product, but it's a product that is out in my backyard. And this is Yucca Blooms. And this happens to be the Adam's needle yucca, or the botanical name for it is Yucca filamentosa. And I just like to open these up. And I started playing with these just because they're beautiful. And they kind of look, once they're opened up, they kind of look like a Eucharist lily. They're amazing and they hold up really well. As you can see, they're just this beautiful little flora, and they kind of have a cross between a Phalaenopsis and a Dendrobium orchid, or that Eucharist lily. And I just put a little bit of glue, this is Oasis adhesive, on the very back, count to 10, so it gets nice and tacky. And then pick a wire that you want to add it to, and stick it on. Now if it's orchids, they're going to hold up really, really well too. This particular Yucca Bloom has a little bit of a waxy feel to it, so it holds up really well. So I wanted to show you the complete one by using this and adding that to it, which I just think is fabulous. So here we have the completed one. As you can see, I've worked those Hypericum berries all the way through, just adding them all the way up and adding them to this sightline. This is what's really fun with this design, because if you look to the side, there's not any flowers at the very base. All of the materials that we used are at an outer sightline, so then it gives us that dimension in the design. I've added a little pieces of duct tape to this also, just by giving a little dimension and also pulling it from my mechanic in the back to the front of it. Adding the bits of paper to that, adding all of these beautiful Yucca Blooms onto this in various stages of opening and development. I've also added a little pieces of succulents, just glued right into the wire, all the way down, just to add some depth and dimension to this. Now when you're working with something like this, before you add the fresh, one way for you to get rid of glue strings, because you're using a hot glue, you get glue strings, is by using a blow dryer. So once you get that completed, before you add the fresh, just turn the hot dryer on, and all of that glue melts into the design itself, and then add the fresh flowers to that. It gives you that beautiful look. I like it curved over just a framework. You could use it as a bridal bouquet. It could be flat. You could hang it on the wall. I mean, you can do many different things to this. It's just, to me, it's just really fabulous, really cool. And again, having that time to create some really fun structures is now the time to be creative.